Hello everyone, today we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to make a custom GPT that searches Zillow using an API, and I will take you step by step on how to do that. Alright, let's get started. So what you need to do, the first thing you need to do is you need to find the API that you would like your custom GPT to use, and a good site for that is rapidapi.com. They have a wide range of selection of APIs that can be used, such as, in this case, we are going to use the Zillow.com API. And so, first of all, what you need to do is you need to create an account with rapidapi.com. Once you create an account with rapidapi.com, go ahead and select your API, which in this case it will be Zillow.com. And then once you select your API page, you should see a page that looks like this, and then you should see at the top a button that says subscribe to test. In order for us to test this API, we're going to have to hit this button up here called subscribe to test, and then we're going to go ahead and hit the free plan. And then once you do that, it will have you enter in your payment details, and you have to do this even for the free plan. So I'm going to go ahead and do this for myself really quick, and if you're following this tutorial, go ahead and do it for yourself. Alright, after you have entered your payment details, you should go back to the screen that looks like this, and what I like to do is, for this where it says target, you can pick different programming languages, and for instance, the programming language we could choose is, let's say, Node.js for our purposes. You will not need to do any coding, but we need to basically copy this for an example for the GPT. So I changed it to Node.js, and then the next thing you need to do is you need to find the endpoint that you want to use. So in order to do a search, we can simply do this top endpoint, and this endpoint will reveal the code on the right here. And then what I do is copy this sample code, and you will see at the top right there's a copy button. You can hit that copy button, and then you can open a notepad, and then inside the notepad you can go ahead and copy and paste the point that you would like to use. Alright, so just to review, you're copying this code here on the right that is the Node.js code for the input, and you're pasting that into your personal notepad. And after you have completed that step, the next thing you need to do is, let's go ahead and go to our chatgpt.com, and you're going to go ahead and hit the create new GPT button, and also you're going to make sure that you have the subscription so that you are able to create GPTs. So we create a new GPT here, and then once you create a GPT, the thing that we need to do is have the GPT use the API. And in order for it to use the API, we need to add something called an action. And so it starts out in the create tab. We have to go to the configure tab, and then we're gonna need to scroll down, and then at the bottom left there is a button that says create new action. So this is what we're going to do is we're going to create a new action. And then inside the create new action, you will see interface looks like this. The next thing that you will have to do is, so now after that is completed, we're going to go ahead and copy this code that the actions GP created, and we're going to go back to our custom GPT, and then we're still under the add actions screen. And remember, we hit this get help from the actions GPT, which brought up that other screen where we got the appropriate code or appropriate JSON code from. And then we're going to paste it in there, and it automatically detects that it can use this get property. The next step that we're going to need to do is we will need to set up our authentication. And to do that, you see that there is a tab here that says a drop down here that says authentication, and then you're gonna click on this drop down here, and it pops up this window, authentication window. And what we're going to do is, for in our case, when working with the Rapid API website and this particular Zillow API, we're gonna have to do it like this. We're gonna have to select API key, and then once you select API key, you need to enter your API key. Now, how you select your API key is you need to go back to your Rapid API site. So you will need to go to the the Rapid API site, and remember how we copied this code. Within this code is your API key, and I don't use this account much, so I don't really worry about my key, but you would find your key here where it says headers. Inside this code, this Node.js code here, you would, under this label here, you would copy this guy inside the quotations, and then you would come back to your custom GPT and then paste your key there, and then you're going to hit save. And actually, there's one more thing we need to do. Go ahead and click on that again, and then on the auth type, you're going to hit custom, and then now this custom header name, we need to go back to the Rapid API website, and where the code snippet is, we need to remember this label here that precedes the API key. We copy this name inside the quotations here, and then we're going to go back to our GPT, and then we're going to put that in there. So make sure the custom header is x-api-key, and then you're going to hit save. Now, after that, what you can do is we're going to go ahead and test to see if this works. So as you can see, under this available actions, it says get property, and then by this it says test. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit test, and then it says you want it to allow it to access the Zillow API, and I'm going to say allow. Alright, and it came back with a successful test. So it came back with a property with nearby properties. Alright, that's great. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here, and then I'm going to go to the create tab, and then in the create tab, I'm going to give the GPT a bit of context about what it is. So I'm going to say this GPT will use the action to retrieve, to search a property. This GPT will use the action to search and search a property, which information will come from the GPT API. And so I like to give it some context so it can know what it's designed to do. And says, how about naming this GPT property finder? And then I'm going to say sure. Generating a profile pic. Oh, that's a cool profile pic. So I'm going to hit yes. And great. What should be emphasized or avoided in property finder's responses? I want it to stick to the main task of searching of property searching. And how should it communicate? Let's say professionally. Alright, so now let's see. Would you like Property Finder to ask for clarification if a user's request is unclear, or should it make assumptions and provide the best possible response? So I'm going to say yes, it can ask for clarification. Alright, it's ready to try. Alright, I went a little bit ahead in the process because I noticed I needed to get one more endpoint in order for it to work correctly. So before, if you can remember, we got the code for the property endpoint here, the very first one here, and also I noticed that it works better with the property extended search. So with both of them, the second endpoint here called property extended search, and then once you have it there, it will give you the code for the property extended search. So what I'm going to do here is I copied both of them, the first one, the property one, and the property extended search, and I put it in my notepad here, as you guys can see. So this one here is the property code, and this one here is the extended search code. And now we have to put these back inside our custom GPT action. So I will do that here. So in order to do this, we needed to go back to the custom GPT. And so the custom GPT, we need to go to configure, and then we have to go to the existing action, which is here. We don't need to create a new action since we already have this action. And so if you want to add multiple API endpoints to an action, you have to add it to the same action. It will not let you create a separate action for API endpoints that are for the same API. Like this, everything for the Zillow API needs to go inside that action. As you can see, I already added these two, but I wanted to show you guys the process of how I did that. So basically, I went to the Actions GPT, and what I did was, for instance here, this is my input, and I said change these into JSON format. And so what I did is I went to my document, my notepad, and I proceeded to copy both of these codes. Remember, these are the codes for the two endpoints that I was talking about. And then I said change it to JSON format, and I pasted it into the chat. And then the Actions GPT came back and gave me this code. And then what I did was I copied this code and I went back to my custom GPT, and then inside this schema part I pasted that code. And then I actually got a little bit of an error when I did that, and the error was saying in component section schema subsection is not an object. So actually let me demonstrate that so you guys can actually see that for yourselves. So I'm going to copy this code that it gave me verbatim when I'm showing you guys what I did in the past, and I'm going to go ahead and put that code here, and then boom, this is the error that I was talking about. It says in components section schema subsection is not an object. And so I saw that, and then I came back to the Actions GPT and I told it exactly that. And so I told it exactly that, where I said I'm getting components section schema subsection is not an object. And it says I apologize for the oversight, and basically it proceeds to give me the correct code that does not have the error, and I proceed to copy that, and then I take that code and I place it inside the schema box here. And now that error went away. Alright, and so let's test that to see if the endpoints are working. So I can hit the test button here in order to have it go ahead and test it. And if you see this allow, that's usually a good sign that it actually was able to do it. And so wow, it actually gave me a picture on that one, which wow, it's giving me pictures, which is interesting. Alright, now ultimately, I also want to show you guys what I put in the instructions. So basically, inside the instructions, I have this GPT will search for property information based on user queries, utilizing the GPT API to gather and provide relevant details. It will assist users in finding property data, answering questions about properties, and offering guidance on real estate related inquiries. The goal is to offer accurate, helpful, and timely information to users seeking property details. It will leverage the following endpoints from the Zillow API, and then the property extend search. This endpoint allows for searching properties by various parameters. If the search is conducted by exact address, the endpoint will return only the zip ID or a list of zip IDs. If it is a building with multiple units, or whatever that word is, or a lot of IDs for buildings, to get detailed information about property by zip ID, the property endpoint will be used. This endpoint provides property details by zip ID, URL, or address, including the Z estimate value. Responses should stick to the main task of property searching and avoid unrelated topics. Communication will be professional and clear. If a user's request is unclear, it will ask for clarification to provide the best possible response. And now for my final test, I'm going to go back to the GPT that I was working on, and now I'm going to go to the actual Zillow, and I'm going to find a property on here that I want to see if the API can find the accurate information for this address. And now I will copy this from the Zillow site, and then I'm going to go back to my GPT, and then I'm going to paste that in, and I'm also going to say, can you find the information for this address? And I'm going to go ahead and try that, and let's see what it does. I'm going to go to allow, and it says here are the details for the property at that address, and then it displays the details. And so it has a price of $399 square foot of 2019. Let's see if, or I'm sorry, the living area 2019. Let's see if we can see that information matches up here. And yes, that is what it says for the price, and that is what it says for the living area square footage. And so it perfectly did what I wanted it to do. As you can see, it lists several different details here, a description and the features, amenities, and nearby schools, including the link to the schools. And it has tax history, and it has the image. And so that's what I wanted to achieve, and I'll go ahead and leave the actual link to this Jeep in the description, and you guys can take a look at it and try it out if you want. So far, it's going to be for free. I don't know how long it will be for free though, but you can check it out for free at this time of the recording. And if you guys like this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel and like this video, a comment, and until next time, peace.